Hello and welcome to Sport This Morning. I'm Cecilia Amogbe.
A very good morning to you from wherever you're watching us from. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Let's have the ball rolling this morning and talk about good news for the Super Eagles. Tensions cooling off when we talk about the goalkeeping situation. Daniel Pay back for his club in South Africa and makes a winning return to football after that injury scare from last week.
And from that, we'll move straight to the UEFA Champions League. And of course, for Liverpool, they were rampant on the night. Felipe Coutinho scoring a hat-trick for Liverpool to beat Sparta Moscow and top their group 7-0.
All right, so Liverpool did a job there, demolishing their opponents in the UEFA Champions League. Let's talk about a man who can't seem to stop scoring goals, who can't seem to stop breaking and setting records. Cristiano Ronaldo of Real Madrid sets new UEFA Champions League record of scoring in all matches in the group phase. That's the man, Cristiano Ronaldo, doing it for his club, Real Madrid. We'll talk much about Cristiano Ronaldo later as we go on the show. But we're going to start this morning talking about the IOC, that's the International Olympic Committee, Cecilia. And I mean, they did what a lot of people thought they were going to do with Russia. And now the president, Thomas Bach, making some other comments about how they were able to achieve what they did with Russia, the efforts behind the scene that ensured that they were able to, see all the things that Russia was doing.
Yeah, I think basically they actually ascribed the success they recorded because they benefited from the whistleblowers, talking about Vitaly and Yulia Stepanov, both of them Russian, who were responsible for helping to actually uncover, one of the biggest doping scandals you can ever think of in sports, masterminded by the Russian government. That's according to the report, from WADA. Of course, Stepanova happens to be a former employee of the Russian anti-doping agency, RUSADA. He actually helped to expose the massive doping problems in Russia. That was in 2014. And with also the help of his wife, who is an athlete, Yulia Stepanova. The pair of them, they had to leave the country, and they are currently hiding in North America. That's simply because they feel they cannot, return to their country because the evidence they give actually triggered, the World Anti-Doping Agency to start the investigation that alleged that the Russian government were really complicit in the elaborated scheme of institutional doping. That's the way they actually describe that episode. But if you check what Thomas Bach was saying, is the fact that if not for these two Russians, they wouldn't have been able to succeed in actually uncovering most of the doping incident that they uncovered, during this whole episode. I think kudos should be given to them. But the thing is, they said Stepanova, she cannot return, to Russia, let alone competing for the country because she's afraid of her life. But I also saying that they've actually put so many things in place to ensure that she can compete fairly at the next Olympics and all that. And also, they are really, really protecting her. But what are the things they put in place is something we really don't know. I mean...
Yeah. Some have called it betrayal. It depends on which side of the divide you belong to. If you're a Russian, you say it's betrayal. If you're from the IOC, you say it was a brave effort to clean up the sports. Thomas Bach says all of these things with the ban on Russia, he hopes that, everything would be straight. It was a brave effort, a lot. It might cost her a lot, like you said, maybe not being able to go to Russia, not being able to do some certain things. But, the efforts that she has made, the two people involved has made to ensure that the sports is clean and people compete fairly. History will be very fair to them.
Yeah, definitely. That's the way it's going to be. But the thing is, in 2014, IOC actually refused her to compete in Rio, 2016 Olympics in Rio. She's a middle distance runner because of the, she has issues, with, doping sanctioned before. So that's the reason she wasn't allowed to compete. Well, let's hear from Thomas Bach what they're planning for her.
I have met already a couple of months ago with Yulia Stepanova and with Vitaly Stepanova. We have exchanged our positions and had a very good and at the end friendly discussion, then resulted in the fact that the IOC is since then supporting Vitaly Stepanov, and that we are benefiting from his advice on anti-doping matters with regard to Russia, but not only with regard to Russia. We are also supporting Yulia Stepanova and hope that she can find a new National Olympic Committee which would allow her then to qualify maybe for the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020.
Hopefully she can, because for you to be able to do that and you cannot return to your country, and of course not being able to compete at the last Olympics, hopefully IOC should be able to do something for her, because if not for her, I believe maybe we don't know about how far Russia had to go for them to actually systemically dope their athletes to perform better. But the thing Thomas Bach didn't reveal is the fact that we don't really know the kind of support IOC is actually offering her.
That of course they won't make that public,
okay.
Maybe for security reasons, but it's tough. I mean, as a spin-off to that as well, since we're still talking about it, Vladimir Putin, I mean, in Russia is as high to that level. And Vladimir Putin yesterday said, look, we're not going to stop any athletes who say they must be at the Winter Games, even though he still feels that this was a Western conspiracy against Russia. I don't know whatever facts he has. So if you now put it in context, situated properly, you know that the whole of Russia is interested in this. And I'm thinking going back to Russia in the nearest future might not be advisable. But then, whatever they're doing to protect the whistleblower, they won't let us know. But I'm very sure if he wants to represent Russia and